Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy at Ninjazola80, and today I will be doing a fresh new re-review on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla X Kong The New Empire Godzilla Evolved 2024 figure. And the question is, has my opinion on this figure changed, or is it still relatively the same? Well, I guess we're just going to have to find out in this review. So, let's get started. And now here we have the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla X Kong The New Empire Godzilla Evolved 2024 figure right here before us in all of his super cool evolved glory. As you can see, this is a really cool figure, sculpted by the famous S.H.MonsterArts sculptor Yuji Sakai, of course, and as you are noticing, I am doing this review in my normal voice this time, so yeah, silliness aside. But anyway, I will be going over this figure in articulation in detail, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, working my way down to the lower body portion of the figure, and then getting more in depth with the rest of the figure and the accessories he comes with. So let's get things started. So now, starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure. As you can see, this figure has a really good head sculpt, very accurate to the movie. We can see his very shiny, pearly, bone white teeth inside of his mouth, looking really good, really cool, and really sharp. And as always, we can see the finer details on the inside of the mouth as well. We can see all the little veins of the tongue and everything, the membranes inside of his mouth on the side and everything. And we also can see these very realistic movie accurate eyes he has, looking very reminiscent to a real life version of Godzilla Evolved, if you would see it in real life. But it is obviously not real. He's a character. Godzilla is a character of science fiction, as we all know. But anyway, looking at more finer details, we can see these sort of like tannish yellow markings in his body, kind of almost like he's rising from the sand, or he's been laying in the sand, kind of like Motsugoji, or where he was rising from the sand in Egypt on that scene. But I think he wasn't evolved yet, if I recall. But anyway, we can also get a good look at those really cool, sharp, pink lemonade dorsal spines, which is also translucent. Yes, I said pink lemonade dorsal spines because that's what I call them. But do keep in mind, especially if you're a parent looking for Godzilla figures for your kids, and you do have a kid that technically wants S.H.MonsterArts. Yeah, first of all, these are expensive, and number two, these are really meant for adults and older collectors. But that's one thing I'm trying to point out, is you really have to be careful with these figures, especially this one, because these dorsal spines right here, they are really sharp. So if you're not careful, they can cut you. Because I'm going to show you real quick. And yes, this hurts. Yeah, you can see how it's made a mark on my finger right there. It's a little red. So, yeah, do be careful. I'm not trying to make myself bleed. I'm just trying to point this out, that this is dangerous for small children. So you might want to keep that in mind. But anyway, yeah, it's a pretty cool figure. But you definitely need to handle it with great care. Articulation in the head, I already demonstrated that the mouth is on a hinge. The jaw is actually on an inner hinge, different than you would see on most S.H.MonsterArts figures. I'm going to take the head off so I can show you real quick, so I can point that out, because I don't think I pointed that out in my original review. You see how we have this hinge joint here, and this hinge joint connected here? That's connected on the inside of the jaw, which is different than how the jaw articulates on most S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla figures. So that is definitely some new engineering going into this figure. But getting more in depth with head articulation, the head can look right, we can look left, we can look up about somewhat, not a whole lot, and we can look down a good bit. Arm articulation, we do have a good butterfly style ball joint in the shoulders, so we can rock them forward and back like so, sort of with that type of motion, like he's pumping up his chest muscles, and we can rotate them all the way around a full 360 like so. We can bring them up like that much for somewhat of a T-pose, like at least some like a diagonal T-pose, and then back down. I think I already demonstrated we can rotate them a full 360, but I guess I'm just going to do it again. We also have a bicep swivel, so we can swivel that bicep all the way around a full 360. Same is true with the other arm. So we have that. We also have a double hinge joint at the elbow as well. So we can, the hands like to pop off easily. So we can bend the elbow about that much and then back down. Same is true with the other side. So we can bend the elbow that much and then back down. And we also have a swivel in the ball joint swivel in the wrist, so we can swivel that hand all the way around and rock it back and forth for that claw swiping action. And same is true with the other side, so swivel it all the way around and rock it back and forth for that claw swiping action. And also a quick detail I like to point out on the arms, and I noticed the Playmates Toys figures have it all wrong and inaccurate. We have some little bitty small dorsal blades on the forearms, where his wrist would be. So they are really tiny, but they are there. The Playmates Toys version of the Godzilla Evolve have like these big spikes on the elbows, going from the forearm to like sticking out the elbows. That is not movie accurate at all. But anyway, before I get to the lower body portion of the figure, and get more in depth with the articulation with the upper body portion of the figure, while I'm here, I can bring out the accessories that this figure comes with. He comes with two sort of claw finger hands, so he's like ready for battle, like ready for combat to fight like Scar King and other monsters. So technically what you do is you just pop out these hands, of course the base hands that he comes with, and you just pop these on real easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So you put that on like that, and there you have it. We have him ready to fight. And of course we do have a really good ab crunch, so we can at the waist, on the top torso actually, so we can look down about that much, that far. And yeah, the ab crunch does work, it's just a bit stiff on mine, so we can look down at least that much and then back up. So yeah, we do, like I said, you have to be careful when handling this figure, especially with these sharp dorsal spines. They are really, really pointy, so definitely be careful. It's one of the reasons why these figures are not for kids. So I just I'm reminding people that don't buy these for your children. These are for adults. But I mean, anyway, that pretty much concludes it for the upper body portion of the figure. Now to work our way down to the lower body portion of the figure, so let's get to it. And now that we are at the lower body portion of the figure, we can see that the legs and the hips are well sculpted. The legs on this on the Godzilla Evolved is a bit skinnier than most variations of Godzilla that we normally see. A lot of people compare the legs on this one to the 98, but it's another subject for another day. But we do have some cool detailing on the toe claws there and in the feet. The feet on this one is a little smaller as well. A lot of people do, like I said, compare it to the 98, but this is 4 toes. So we do have like a small toe right here. The 98 is a 3-toed. So that's another big difference. So yeah, don't get that confused. But anyway, far as leg articulation, the hips are on butterfly style ball joints, so we can split out about that much. So we can split out a good bit. We can do splits very far with this figure. We can kick forward about this much and then back down about that much. Same is true with the other leg, and then back down. We can sort of swivel it a full 360, but I'm not risking it. But anyway, we do have a double joint hinge in the knees, so we can bend the back about that far before it hitting up against the sculpt. So it is hindered by the sculpt a bit, but you can move it as you are seeing. So we do get a good range of motion in those knees, so we can bend them back and then forward. We also have a swivel, not hinge, we do have a ball joint swivel in the ankle as well, so we can point the foot down and then back up. We can rock it side to side like so, and we can swivel it all the way around a full 360. Same is true with the other foot. So rock it side to side, point it forward and back, and swivel that all the way around. So that pretty much concludes it for articulation in the feet. And now getting to one of the best parts with this figure, the tail. The tail with this figure is very, very satisfying. Oh, let me tell you. I am glad I pre-ordered this one when I did, because the tail with this one is one of the best tails you will ever get on an S.H.MonsterArts figure. The tail, of course, we have the Thagomizer on the end, which the design for Godzilla Evolved kind of makes me think about how they may have taken inspiration from Godzilla's transformation in the Super Nintendo game Super Godzilla. So I think that's where they got the idea for the Thagomizer on the tail from, because I think the design for Super Godzilla does kind of have a spiked club or Thagomizer on its tail as well, very similar to an Ankylosaurus or a Stegosaurus. So this is definitely taking inspiration from that. So we can move the tail this far this way, we can move it that far the other way. We can pose this tail very, very well. So as you can see, we have it in a S curve, and we can do an S curve the opposite way as well. So we can definitely curve that tail a lot of different ways. We can put it up, we can even put it, if I can get it correct, we could put it in that Godzilla versus the Smog Monster flying type of pose. So yeah, I can get a better view of that in the next cut when I'm getting more in depth with the figure. So anyway, that pretty much concludes it for detail and articulation with the lower body portion of the figure. So now let's get more in depth with getting a closer look at the figure. So let's get to it. And now getting a closer look at the figure before I wrap things up. Just giving him a full 360 turn here so we can get a better look at the finer details on this figure. And of course, we do have some legal information stamped on the bottom of one of his feet. So if you want to know that the figure you have is legitimate without having the original box, this is how you tell. Because if it's a bootleg, it's not going to have the company name or the serial number. So you definitely you want to check. Make sure you're not getting tricked by a counterfeit. But anyway, that's why you always want to buy from official sources, especially stuff like this. But anyway, like I was demonstrating, you could put this in a Godzilla versus Hedorah type of flying pose, although this is not a Showa Godzilla. This is, yeah, more of a legendary, but yeah, you can get that pose out of them. So we can do that, like very similar to what you can do with the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla 1972. So you do have that, unless like you want to kind of do like a hit them with the spiky sharp dorsal spines, kind of like do like a Sonic the Hedgehog jump on them. So we can do that as well. Do like the spin if you want to, but I don't know. That just sounds like something more like Anguirus would do. But yeah, that is something pretty cool you get with this figure. So you do get a lot of articulation. I think I paid like $140 from Toys in the Box. So I can definitely check the website, and if the website still has them available from Toys in the Box, I'll definitely put that. If not, I'll definitely put the link to where you can get them from Big Bad Toy Store. If not, both, if you are interested. But like I said, if anything, definitely do be careful with the dorsal spines, especially if you're going to be handling this figure around kids or having your kids handle this one. So that's something to keep in mind, because yeah, if you're not careful, these dorsal spines will make chop suey out of your fingers real fast. And yeah, it's not going to be a fun thing to deal with. So just want to put that quick warning out there, just for everyone's personal safety who decides to buy this figure and add this figure to their collection. Now, I haven't cut myself on this figure, but I just, I noticed that these dorsal spines are really sharp if you touch them. So just letting you know ahead of time, just giving you guys a quick heads up, just because I don't want anybody cutting themselves on this figure. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up this review. And now I will be moving on to my final verdict, giving this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire Godzilla Evolved 2024 figure here. If I have to give this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give him a drum roll, please. A well-deserved knocked out of the park yet again. 5 out of 5 stars. Why? As much as I've been giving SHM a bad rap, I definitely gotta forgive this figure for the flaw it has with some of the hand joints not staying on very well. And yeah, the tail actually stayed on really, really well during this review, aside from my original review on this figure. So that is definitely good. And so yeah, my opinion on this figure has not changed, and it still is overall positive. Like I said, this one has really good movie accurate detail, a definite improvement with movie accuracy over their previous legendary Godzilla figures. I'm talking specifically S.H.MonsterArts, because yeah, when comparing their 2019 Godzilla to the Hiya Toys version, yeah, the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla 2019 just really, it is somewhat movie accurate, but the High Toys Exquisite Basic version is just better. I am still anticipating the High Toys Exquisite Basic version of this figure, which I still have on pre-order on toysinthebox.com. For those of you who have not heard about Toys in the Box, it is a really good website. And best of all, they don't charge you taxes when making purchases, unlike Big Bad Toy Store. Although, like, the only shipping option that I know that Toys in a Box actually has is, well, actually two, maybe. I know they have USPS, and I think maybe, like, express delivery if you pay, like, a little bit more. But it's mostly like USPS. So, I mean, like, that's the only difference, is, like, because, like, Toys in a Box just doesn't have flat rate like Big Bad. But, I mean, you're actually coming out ahead by being exempt from paying taxes on your purchases on that website. So that is a definite plus. And they take care of you really good. So definitely I would recommend Toys in the Box if you haven't heard of them. But anyway, if you made it this far into the video, thank you guys all so much for watching. Your viewership and your engagement is very much appreciated. And if you like what you see and you want to help out the channel even more, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay safe, take care, God bless, stay powered up, and peace out.